All right. Okay, I thought I had figured out why, oh, it's because YouTube is unlisted. Okay. Slowly figuring this stuff out. Save. And now, back over here. There we go. We good. Does that work? Potentially. Oh, there we go. Hi, Paulina. Paulina, you are my first non-family member to view a live stream. So welcome. My setup is quite a bit janky. I have... Well, I took the time to make this live stream overlay, but the the chat that's showing up on screen is just this window right here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's get some things set up. Today, I will be starting Yes, you get a medal. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the chat thing on the screen is quite delayed. Or do I? Okay, we're gonna try this. Okay. We are going today to start a user stories document. So for people without development experience, a user story, as it says on the screen here, is like you try and put into words, or like you try and put yourself in the shoes of someone who's going to be using your platform and think like, okay, what are their motivations for wanting to use something like this in the first place? What are the typical things that they want to be able to do with an app like this? So typically it's very good to get it done before you start doing any design stuff, because as soon as you start making design stuff, you kind of get like stuck in your ways, kind of, if that makes sense. Where it's harder to pivot because now you're fixated on a particular design for an app or website or whatever it is you're developing. So typically there's like a bunch of different user stories because, like, for example, if I am designing a parish website, which is what I do for my day job, you try and put yourself in the shoes of like all kinds of different people, and you think like, okay, if I am a younger person trying to, like, if I'm visiting the area or something and I just want to like go onto a parish website and just find out the mass times, that's something that's a very common user story. Or if I'm an established parishioner who just wants to like look at parish announcements or something like that, then that's another user story. Like they log on and the first thing they want to do is try to open up announcements or something like that, or they're trying to sign up for a particular event that's coming up, like RSVP or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing today. And there is a Discord channel that anyone can join, and I'm going to be keeping track of sort of what's going on. There's a over here, this is the Discord. There's a track milestones channel right here. So as I continue with this channel, I'm going to be checking off, like, for example, make my first ever YouTube video and live stream for the first time. The last time I live streamed, I defined a mission statement, and that document is right here. And so if people want to follow along, feel free to join the Discord, and it'll just be a place for me to share what's going on at a particular time. And I can throw that link in the chat. Polina, if you're still here, is the music too loud or too quiet or distracting at all? Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm not super good at like talking a bunch on camera, so I was like, oh, I feel like I need some chill background music to sort of fill the empty space. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. I was actually going to go live and do this yesterday, but then I got to, or like I was like trying to come up with a particular plan for like exactly what users to try and think out beforehand. But then I was like getting in my own head about it all, and so I really have no plan going to the stream today besides just figuring this all out as I go. Because as I'm just starting out, it's kind of like hard to press that go live button because it feels so foreign. I'm so used to just consuming YouTube live streams and not actually creating them. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am quite excited to see where it goes. I do think it is very applicable for lots of different people. I think it would also be good for non-Catholics eventually. I forget if I mentioned that in my original video. I kind of flew, like, I had a script all lined out, and then I kind of flew through that script as I was recording the video, and I skipped a bunch of different points. So I kind of forget what I did and didn't say in that stream or first video. But yeah. So, okay. The first one I'm going to start out with, I'm just going to say types of... even in like even with a background in software development, I do hate using the word users when it comes to development, especially since my background is in like developing parish websites and stuff. Like typically for those kind of websites, I would use like a parishioner terminology or something like that, or visitor. But yeah, users just sounds like druggy or something. Okay. So we have types of users. I mean, I'm just gonna go with typical everyday user. Actually, because... Okay. How about this? I'm gonna change it to let's increase the font and say user equals window pane. So I'm gonna refer to users as window panes instead. I really like how much I can do with this window metaphor. As soon as it popped into my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this has so many different metaphorical applications. So, okay. Actually, okay. I'm thinking all of this through live. We're gonna go with YouTube viewer, I guess. YouTube. No, I don't like consumer either. We'll just stick with viewer. I think I'm going to be condensing this live stream into a YouTube video later, and I'd like to... This was also why I didn't go live yesterday. I was like, oh, I really want to come up with pictures for all of these different kind of users, and it just wound up being too much work. Okay. So, description. So this is kind of me, so I feel pretty well qualified to talk about this particular user. Are you really? Are you in college, or is it just a side thing? Um, yeah, I went to college for software engineering, um, and this is kind of bread and butter at this point. Introductory course for school. I've had some early experience, but none that's like legit, I guess. Nice. That's really cool. Yeah, I fell in. I guess you would say I fell in love with coding my in high school. I had a. It was a introduction to Java, just Java, and so like object oriented programming and just introduction to a lot of different concepts. And it was, I don't know, I guess I had a sort of affinity for technology beforehand, but it was just sort of cool, like writing a bunch of basic code or like stuff that prints out onto the terminal or something like that. Um, I mean, I still like doing those small little projects. They're just cool. Um, okay, so what would I do this? What would I say the next point is? There's a general description, and then what they need is. I think I'm very too general in this first point. Um, I think the best way to do YouTube, like thinking of myself personally, is a Chrome extension. Because I think it'd be really annoying if I was watching a YouTube video and I had to use like an app on my phone or something. Um, and like either text with it or something like that, basically writing down a bunch of stuff. But also it'd be annoying to swap back and forth between computer screens because like for work I work from home, so I have like 3 different screens that I can take advantage of. Um, but for an everyday person who's like watching YouTube videos on their laptop or something, um, yeah, it's hard to condense, I guess. I went back to that live stream from Gospel Freak and commented that I started the YouTube channel, and he responded saying he was gonna watch the video and subscribe. So hopefully, I mean, maybe he'll watch this VOD back. I don't know, but it's funny. I was just chilling in that live stream with you, and I think there was maybe like one or two other people, and he started like he like made one point about like Catholic theology or just theology in general being complicated, and I was like, ooh, I have stuff to say about this. And then I was like, oh yeah, I would like to start a YouTube channel at some point. And then he was like, just do it. And then so I started it the next day. Or I did some like setup stuff the next day, and then made the video the day after that. Logs onto YouTube constantly. Okay, so I'm gonna say computer because I myself am not a YouTube mobile watcher. Given that like I have a nice computer for work. Yeah, I did a little bit of research about or on like other YouTube channels that already had the name. I don't know if I'll wind up editing the channel name at some point, like the window : like Catholic apologetics or theology or something like that. Or you know, theology simplified. I don't know. I'll think about it. But yeah, little baby YouTube channel right now. Hopefully it'll be easier to search in the future. Chrome extension to make. See, even this, like, I don't know if I want to commit to saying like flashcards, even though that is like sort of the thing I have stuck in my head. But like I said earlier, I don't want to get too stuck in my ways with a particular design. Summaries of the points, and then if they want to go back to it later, they have mobile app 2. So, and then this would be kind of contrasted with a YouTube viewer mobile, because this one, they kind of have the same thing. Like, has trouble. Okay, yeah, all of these still apply, but their needs are different. They need... Yeah, because you can't make a Chrome extension for the YouTube mobile app, so you'd have to flip back and forth. Although there is an advantage to, on mobile, you can like pop out the video and go to different apps. And that's actually not a bad interface. Like, for how small a phone screen is, the mobile video YouTube watching experience is about as good as it probably can be. To quickly create cards, summaries, mobile app. Okay. So this is kind of general so far. I'll go back to the computer one and say stories. What sort of languages have you used in your coding classes or in any personal projects before? So the viewer would need to be able to have both the video and a typing writing document open at the same time in both instances. I don't know whether you're talking about computer or mobile, but basically, yes. So if there was a Chrome extension on a computer, I don't know the best way to show what I'm thinking of. So, okay, here I have YouTube, and if I were to click into this video, like as you're watching the video on a computer, these up here are extensions. Let's bring it right here. So if I had an extension up here, that like I'm listening. Okay, sorry, Catholic Christian. I'm gonna change your paused face. I don't think I have any extensions installed on this Chrome browser, but if like you're watching a debate or something, and you hear a good point, like all that would be required would be to click on the extension up here, and oh wait, I just screen with cam. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna show my full screen. So you would click on the extension up here. It would sort of be this window icon, except this is my Chrome profile. So I would click here, and it would sort of already pop up, and like maybe it already grabs the video ID, because you can take advantage, since they're already on a website. So in a YouTube link, it has the video ID right here. And so I'm not sure if there's a way to grab a timestamp. I'm not sure the YouTube API allows for that. But if you could grab those and it already grabs that information, then you don't have to like retype that or anything. And so, you know, maybe there's a drop down for like what you want to create, like whether it's a simple flashcard or like you just want to type out a quick sentence, not like question answer format. And yeah, so it would be super fast. You could like, if I'm watching this video and like he makes a great point, and then I, you know, click up here and type out a sentence or two. This isn't it. I mean, it can be a way for you to write like multiple paragraphs about a particular video. Like, I don't want to restrict people to a very narrow scope. But I don't know. Does that make sense? I lost my chat window. And then sort of on mobile, okay, so then from the mobile scenario, you were saying the video could pop out. Yeah. Yeah, so in this case, if it's on mobile, they're probably watching on the YouTube mobile app. And so there would be an app for the window, like with this logo and everything that you would just swap over to. And then like in my head that the app is like very conscious of people wanting to quickly create something like a resource or something like that. Um, so they could have um, let me try. Yeah, so like right here on this mobile, like I don't know if you use YouTube mobile. I don't really that much, but I know that you can like condense the video and then you can go to a different app. So in this case, they would be watching the video, or maybe they pause the video, depending on what sort of thing they want to remember or practice later. And then they would just go over to the window app, and then like within like one button, there should be a way to sort of like bring up a prompt for what it is that you want to remember, that sort of thing. Yeah. And I have zero experience with Chrome extension development, so that'll be interesting. But I do have experience with app development for iOS and Android. I don't have much expertise with the mobile scenario, so I made it more complicated in my head. Yeah, neither do I. I don't watch YouTube on my phone very often at all. But in my head, that is the simplest way to do it. Like, I think if you're watching a video and like on your phone, you just swipe out to the home screen, I think it automatically condenses the video for you so you can keep watching, which is convenient. And then you just swipe over to the window app and then go from there. So you could watch an entire like hour-long video with it like just in that tiny form. But yeah. Yeah. That's the general idea. Gonna call it assets for now, because you could be adding a YouTube video or book, or you could be adding a flashcard without any of that. So actually maybe just card, and then you could like further clarify from there if it's a flashcard or like a summary card or something like that. Um, primarily using Python currently, though I have done earlier experiments with Java, but only for certain things. Yeah, I mentioned that high school class, so I learned Java first, and I feel like everyone's like is very highly opinionated with Java versus Python. And I think everyone just likes whichever one they learn first. So since I learned Java first, um, I would probably prefer Java. Um, it's been like years since I've actually coded in Java, though. But yeah, Python is very cool, simple, really applicable for like machine learning or like a bunch of different logic stuff. Um, but yeah, coding is not for everyone, but I find it very fun. Information is stored to be practiced later. So same point. Okay, so those two were for YouTube. But there's a whole different realm, which is books. And these are the two. I am definitely someone who consumes apologetics content on YouTube, but I also do read books. And for me, if I'm reading a book, you know, sometimes you'll sort of be reading and then you realize, like, oh, I need to go back and read that entire chapter again because I did not process any of it. Dun, dun, dun. So, description has a library, or at least would like to organize information learned in a book and practice it later, because that's the whole point. What else? I mean, I could put something like this, but I feel like it's kind of a given at this point. Okay. Oops. So I guess what I didn't mention up here is there would be a mobile app or Chrome extension, or website. But if there is, so the website would probably come first. Like I said, I don't have too much experience with Chrome extensions, but yeah, so they could pull up a different tab or something like that, or like make the YouTube tab half the screen, and then they can open the window website on the side if they don't want to use the Chrome extension. I think there will be advantages of using the Chrome extension. Like I said, you can like probably grab the ID of a video and like it'll already know what source you're getting this from. Because with every, like, whether it's a YouTube video or a book or a Spotify podcast, like there will be a place for you to put where this is from, so you kind of like have a reference. Like if you want to go back to it and listen to the original again, then you know where to go. So mobile app or web interface, they definitely won't be using a Chrome extension. To create cards as they read. For this, I assume mobile would be probably far more likely. So I don't know if you can know that. And again, oh, it's stored for later. I'm not really, I guess I could, it kind of still falls under user stories, like what sort of formats of cards there are. So I'll probably do that once I'm kind of done with this. I'm kind of mixing formats here, aren't I? Stories. And this. Okay. I think especially for the book user, the flashcards, place to write down things to practice later would be especially useful. Yeah. I used to read a lot, so I'm pretty familiar with like reading things as opposed to like other people who like never read books. But yeah, like sometimes I'll get through an entire chapter and like realize I need to reread it again, or like I really like a chapter, but then, you know, I don't remember the points the next day. And some books are definitely harder than others. Like if you're reading a Scott Hahn book, he generally does a very good job of keeping things pretty simple and like making everything flow together. But if you're reading something and text gets a lot more complicated much faster than a YouTube video. So yeah, it some way to organize that in your head, which is what this is going to be, is I think it's just definitely needed. There's someone brought up in the Discord that there's Notion, and I actually used this, or not used this, but when I was still in college, I was checking out things to sort of keep track of like different classes and stuff. Um, and like when he brought this up, I had forgotten about it, and um, this kind of tries to do the same thing, except it's like far more generalized. Um, whereas this would just be for like the realm of apologetics, and it would like with Notion, you don't really like gain anything from being able to view other people's um, cards or like a Notion flashcard. But if everything is like themed around the same thing, which would be theology or apologetics, um, then there is a benefit to like looking at what other people have made for a particular video. Like maybe if someone made some flashcards for a Joe Heschmeyer video or a Trent Horn video, and they do a really good job of putting that into text on a flashcard, then someone else can come along and maybe having just watched the same video, or like they're making cards on the same subject, then there is a benefit to being able to view other people's public like card sets or whatever the term is going to be. I'm a bit more of a reader. Trying to remember everything is a nightmare. Yeah, definitely. I'm reading this one, I think is the title. I'm reading this book right now, and I was put onto it by a Scott Hahn podcast, where he talks about like putting it back into print because it had been taken out of print. And compared to like I'm just coming off of reading like The Fourth Cup by Dr. Scott Hahn, and compared to those books, like because this book was written in like it was pre-Vatican II, so 1950s, I think. And yeah, I get lost so much easier because I just haven't been reading a bunch of more complicated text. You have any favorite favorite theology book, philosophy book, apologetics book, anything like that? I'm always like commenting on other people's videos recommending Dr. Scott Hahn's books because I think they're just so good. Like in terms of dumbing things down for like particularly Protestants to understand. Um, okay. I'll move on to talking about people that are not, or yeah, people that are not in the middle of like learning from a resource, and they just want to go back to stuff they've created and practice those. So, practice Windows. Not in the middle of watching, reading, learning. And want to practice their carbs they have asked. Currently trying to become more well versed. Don't have much experience. Kind of a beginner. Currently reading Why We're Catholic by Trent Horn. I've heard a lot of good things about Why We're Catholic. I mean, I've heard Trent Horn say that's his like favorite book that he's put in print. Um, I personally have not read it. I it was actually the first apologetics book I bought. It was by Trent Horn, and it was um, shoot. Um, this one, Case for Catholicism. Um, and as I was reading it, I kind of wish I had gone the other way and bought Why We're Catholic, um, because I've heard great things about it. And this one is, yeah, comprehensive and thorough defense. It's a lot more like not educational, but it's a lot more formal. It seems like what I understand Why We're Catholic to be. Um, yeah, a lot more formalized, a lot more like cites a bunch of different sources. I mean, I have it, I have it in the other room. I think I got like 3/4 of the way through it, and then made the mistake of starting another book, and then I don't think I ever finished it. It's I'll definitely finish it at some point though. Um, oh, I spent all this time setting up this timer um, to try. I mean, I guess you can just kind of tell based off of the stream start, but how do I start it again? This start. There we go. Timer's running now. Um, Case for Catholicism seems like the next level of why we're Catholic. Yeah, I think that is my understanding of it as well. Which is kind of why, like I said, I kind of wish I had started um, with why we're Catholic. So I kind of, I don't know. It seems like more of an introductory book, and I kind of wish I had read something like that first. Because, like I said, the Case for Catholicism was the first book that I decided to buy. I have to add it to my growing list. Yeah, I have quite a long Amazon list. To be honest. Um, but if you haven't read anything by um, Dr. Scott Hahn, I highly, highly recommend those. But those were personally helpful to me because personally, without saying too much, there's a lot of Protestant influences um, in my own personal life or sphere or something like, or yeah. And so hearing or reading his text, because he was a former Protestant, is just helpful. Heard the name and got him on the list. Good. He's got a lot of good ones. I mean, if you wanted to jump into his story, which is important, probably. There's Rome Sweet Home, I think, is the first book he wrote with like co-written with his wife, about like his and her journeys into Catholicism. Um, and then he just has a bunch of other books from there. But it is pretty important to understand covenant theology if you are going to read Dr. Hahn. And so I remembered the title. Pencil scratching. um this one is the first one I bought of his. I didn't even read Rome Sweet Home. It's on my list to read later. Um but this one as an introduction to like covenant theology, which like when I was first getting into um apologetics and theology, um I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, because I wasn't always super interested, or I've always been super interested in this stuff, but like it's been on another level recently. um but this one goes over like basic covenant theology, and then after that one I read Swear to God, which is about the sacraments. And then after that I read The Lamb's Supper and The Fourth Cup, both of which are like unbelievably good. um The Lamb's Supper about the Mass, and The Fourth Cup about, um, you know, the words "It is finished," which is misused by Protestants all the time, um, to talk about like the finished nature of Christ's sacrifice. Um, like the Fourth Cup is so good. Um, okay. Open website app. select to practice window or resource. Thank you for the recommendations. I shall get to them hopefully in less than 2 years. That's how I feel about my reading list. Um, I haven't read anything by Joe Heschmeyer yet, any of his printed works, even though he's like, I would say that he's probably my favorite YouTube apologist in terms of like structuring his videos. They're all very like logical, thorough, and um, just well presented arguments on almost every front. Fantastic debater too. I don't know if you saw the when he debated James White recently, and there was a bunch of stuff going around about how Saint Ignatius of Antioch didn't exist, which was super funny. Um, but he absolutely killed that debate. It was impressive to watch. Um, the early church was the Catholic Church. Yeah, that and um, I think there's one on the Eucharist that Joe Heschmeyer wrote. Those two are on the list. But yeah, my Amazon list is like 10 to 15 books long, and I made it like 2 weeks ago or less than 2 weeks ago. So I'm sure it'll get even longer when I remember like books that I've wanted to read in the past but haven't added to the list yet. Um, so this one that I'm typing out now is probably the hardest um, one to tackle because they need someone who's wanted to explore other resources needs a simple but comprehensive interface to explore other content or other resources. And discover, I'll say popular cards created by other window panes users. Stories. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to say too much here because there's multiple ways you could organize things. Like, I mean, even similar to YouTube, there's like popular based on if people are like thumbs upping or liking different cards. Could there, yeah. So a way to recommend other resources to them in addition with the cards. Yeah, so this is why I said it's the most complicated, because trying to make some sort of algorithm to recommend things, like recommendation algorithms can get as complicated as you want. Like the simplest sort of algorithm is you provide people a way to like a resource similar to like how you would like a YouTube video, except it would be through the window. Like it's a way to like thumbs up this resource, like this was a good resource. And then you could like try and sort through which resources have the most likes, and that would be a very simple way to do it, but it's probably not the best, and it's too simple. So then you could like have a trending category, where like, okay, now it's like the videos that are getting the most likes, or resource could be a book. So a book that's getting a lot of likes in a certain amount of time. Like you could set the time to what sort of resource has been liked the most times in the last 2 weeks. And because otherwise, like the most popular quote unquote resources would just be like old ones, because they would just have built up likes over time. And like there's not a way for new resources that are added to shine. So that would be a super simple trending algorithm, and that's not too hard to make either. The hard thing to make is like different people have different interests even within this niche of Catholic apologetics and theology. And it's not really it's like a niche with regard to like everything else out there in the world, like on YouTube, but you could like hyper focus on one part of Catholic theology and never like touch these other parts. So like if so picture this. So the general layout of the app is like you can create windows for yourself. So window, quote unquote, and a window is just like a particular topic. Like you could just have one like personal window, like you put all of your different cards and resources that you make in one place, and that's fine. But maybe you want to separate things, so you could make like make a separate window for something tackling um, the nature of the mass or something, which is not super connected to like um, Mariology, I guess. Um, and there would be a way for you to organize yourself in with regard to like topics. Um, but then if you want to browse and look for other resources, like you're saying, um, trying to figure out like resources on similar topics is a much harder task. I'll just say that. Because then like the algorithm might have to understand natural language, like you might name your mass window or category a particular thing, um, but someone else who like has the exact same interest might not have the same label for that window, um, and so you like the algorithm has to like be able to connect those in some way. So um, the first few versions of this app will probably feature the most simple forms of algorithms, like those popular or trending ones that are far easier to implement than like the YouTube algorithm is insanely complicated and no one really knows how it works. Um, so yeah, kind of a long disconnected answer. A broad accumulation of likes recommended would be simpler and honestly quite helpful. Yeah, even those simple algorithms are they have a lot of advantages. So popular, trending, most likes in a certain amount of time, or most likes all time, popular, um, would be the first ones I would um, be most interested in including. Things don't always have to be complicated to be good. A wise person. Yes, absolutely. Another way to paraphrase that, keep it simple, stupid. Um, okay. These are the user stories that I think are most common. There's probably several more out there. But we have people studying theology on YouTube or watching YouTube videos by Catholic apologists, and people that read books. And then you just have the general, you're not on a particular resource, you just want to come back to study past resources and then exploring other resources. I think these are the most necessary ones to put down here. I'm sure that if I put my head to it, I can think of a few more, but, or if you have a few more that you could think of. But how long? I've been live for an hour and 16 minutes. Next up is starting to define system requirements, which is a little different to user stories. Like, what does the system actually, and this is where I would like start to define like a system requirement could be have a popular category or a popular section of resources for people to take advantage of. But the reason user stories are first is because these user stories inform the requirements that you actually need. Like, if you look at a particular user story, like exploring other resources, you can think of a bunch of requirements for the system that you need just to like even this is probably like, and I tried to keep it as simple as I could because I didn't want to get into specifics, because that's what feature requirements are for. And the feature requirements can like break down this to a very specific degree or get as detailed as possible. Whereas these user stories are like kind of general, kind of specific. It's a lot more casual, and you're not trying to like narrow yourself into a particular design too early, because maybe you need to pivot. And the ability to pivot is very important. So this is kind of what I wanted to do today. Gives you the perspective of the viewer and then backtracks what is needed for it to work. Exactly. And if you take, if you continue taking classes for software development, this is a very necessary step. Which is often overlooked. Like, a lot of times I will jump straight into feature or system requirements or feature requirements before even defining user stories. But getting to know your actual the typical people that you think will be using your app or website or whatever it is, anything, and it doesn't apply to just software. I mean, this could apply to a lot of physical products as well. But I do want to try getting as much input as I can on both this step and then the system requirement step. So I'm probably going to do, I don't know when I'll stream the system requirements, but after those, I'm going to be trying to reach out to people and have them, like, I'll maybe create like a Google Doc and ask for feedback and ask them to like try and poke holes in it. See, oh, wait, I forgot a story because one of the I can't type. One of the central things that I want to stress is like people that make YouTube videos or write books, like encouraging people to like actually retain the information that they present, like a YouTube video. And I can't, I haven't narrowed it, not narrowed it down yet, but sort of figured out how to have a YouTube creator claim their channel. But if they are a YouTube creator and they have a channel or a video, even if someone else has added their video to the ecosystem, the window, library, whatever it is, but if they go in and themselves create cards for it, or summaries or flashcards, whatever they want to do, then the system can flag those cards as by the creator. And that is an important way for people to tell, like, okay, like there's this YouTube video, but also there's these cards that they created for their own video that they want me to know, and if I like their video, it would be helpful for me to yeah, I'll just start typing. Okay. Owner of a YouTube channel or book author. I'm gonna jump straight into what they need. A way to quote unquote claim their own resources. YouTube channel, book, etc. For their, I'll just call it content. Make their own cards for their content. And finally, a way to promote by the creator. Study assets, cards, and flag their cards to other users so they can quickly copy, add them to their own I can't type. Study sets. Literally a study guide from the source. Yes. Okay. Story. So this one actually has two. Their content has not been added yet, or three, because their content's not been added yet. To a resource, they want to attach by the creator. That's to their resource for Content has not been added yet, so the first step would be open website app. Actually, maybe this step would only be from the website. Usually apps are the simplest version. I'll just keep app. Content has not been added yet. Add their own resource. I'll just say add a resource and simultaneously mark it as their own. And then create cards or study assets. And again, I'm trying to keep cards and study assets very general to be more specified and detailed in the system requirements step. So creates cards or study assets that will be flagged to others as by the creator. And that's basically it. Publish. Okay, so now maybe someone has already added their video because they thought it was a good one. And they need to claim it. Now, for things like YouTube, this is probably a lot easier because you can probably just claim a channel in one swoop, and like if a creator claims a particular video or they claim a channel, then they don't need to do the same thing for other YouTube videos that are added in the future that are also from their channel. But for books, it's a bit more complicated because books don't have like channel IDs that I can call from an API, like the YouTube API. So in that case, the author would probably need to claim each one, which is kind of annoying. I can maybe think of different ways to organize that a bit better later. But for YouTube, it's probably quite simple. So they need to claim a resource that has already been added. I'm also just now realizing that this is really small on the actual live stream. I should have zoomed in a lot sooner. Yeah, that looks way better. Need to claim a resource that has already been added. So open website app. Maybe I don't want just anyone to be able to click claim, obviously. And also, to that, you don't really want to show a particular button saying claim this resource to everyone. Because first, it's unnecessary, and second, you don't want someone accidentally hacking the system and claiming someone else's content. So there probably has to be a fourth story here, which is register as a content creator author, where they would open the website app and then somehow navigate to register as a creator account. And then from there they can submit verification that they do in fact make content, write books, what have you. And so this is kind of a step 0 to like open up to all of these other steps, because by the creator, publish, okay. Claim a resource, and then from there it's kind of the same 2 steps as right here. They want to attach by the creator assets to their resources. Oh wait, yeah, that's kind of covered in all the other ones. So yeah, now I think I'm done. So anyone with the link can view, copy link, and I'm gonna go throw it into the Discord. Oops. And boom, another step done. So next up, system requirements will be in another stream. And then after that, I'll probably, like I said, reach out to as many people as I can, get some feedback. Other people have probably got some ideas that I haven't thought of before, and maybe I need to add or edit the feature or system requirements or add a new user story, stuff like that. Yep, check mark. It feels good to add that check mark. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, God bless.